everybody, and welcome to Fortress Comic News, episode 371. I am one of your hosts, Chris, alongside my co-host here, Mike. What's going on, Mike?
Nothing much. I'm not the only Mike on the show today, Chris.
Yeah.
We haven't...
Even in celebration, our guests put a Mike and Mike poster in the background, too.
Yeah, I did see that. I did notice that. Lovely. They did it just for me. So today we have Michael Avon Oming on the show, Eisner Award winner, co-creator of Powers, and also Taki Soma from their project at Mad Cave Studios. We're going to talk about Galaxy of Madness. Comes out at the end of June. Had a great discussion with them. They tell you don't meet your idols or your heroes. I don't know. It hasn't been true in comics, Chris, because most of the people we've met are fantastic individuals. So
I've been amazing. Yeah. And Oming's a guy whose art I've loved for a long time since I first discovered Powers. Like it's one of those surreal moments, Mike. We do this show and then we get to talk to people who we've respected for decades. And
yeah, I mean, Powers is one of those books. It's like you walk in a comic shop. I'm like, I'm getting back into comics. And they're like, they're talking about all these big hitters. And then it's like, well, have you heard of Powers? It's like, well, shit. No, I haven't. So to have somebody of that caliber come on the show and just be such a cool, down-to-earth dude. And then off-air suggest meeting up again in half a year. Okay.
Yeah.
Whatever he wants.
And not to throw it aside, Taki was lovely too.
Yeah, Taki was so great.
It's always awesome to get like both the art, like all of the art team together to talk about the book too. That's always great. So it was a blast. You guys get to hear that after you hear us ramble about some crap here in a minute.
Some bull crap. But
Mike, what have you been up to?
Chris, well, I actually had it. So I was in Mexico this week for work, last week, whatever week it is. I can't remember, to be honest. And I was in this market square in this downtown city of Querétaro, if anybody really wants to know. And, walking around, it's like 9 p.m. at night, had some dinner and walking. I see all these, like, I forgot what you call it. Do they call them corrals? These little shops. Bodegas, yes. Like you see in New York City, I don't think you see them so much anymore. You still see them in Mexico, in the larger cities. So, there's people selling things on the street, pottery and art and stuff. And then we walk by a bodega, and they're selling gum and snacks. And then I could see it from across the street. I said, those are comic books. So I walk up. Lo and behold, Chris, they're selling freaking comics on the street, like a magazine. They had lots of mostly magazines, but it was a magazine stand, and they're selling comics. And I like the joy that it brought me. I mean, they're all in Spanish, so I didn't really buy one. I should have, but they had like All-Star Superman. They had some like classic Spider-Man stuff. They just had like all the things you'd want to read. And I was just like in awe looking at the stuff, like, man, this takes me back of like when you could just grab a comic at a store or just on the street when they used to sell them like that, next to the magazines, or like they used to even put them next to the magazines at Barnes and Noble. I don't think they do that anymore, but that was my comic
now.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, there you go. But it was a cool little happening in Mexico this week.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I have been enjoying the fact that it's no longer raining constantly here.
Yes. I'm glad for you.
And have gone just full homeowner here, just doing gardening stuff, man.
Nice. There you go. Embrace it.
Didn't read a ton of comics this week.
I read a few.
Because I was taking advantage of every opportunity to get out there and get that stuff done.
You don't listen to your comic books on audiobook, Chris? What are you doing?
I've been listening. I got into audiobooks recently.
Yeah.
But this weekend has been a lot of there's been some speeches I want to listen to. So I've been listening to that. But yeah, I started listening to the Expanse series.
Oh, cool. Audiobook. Very cool. Yeah.
And then that leads down my bad, I need once you get into something, you're like, oh, this is a thing. So I'll listen to them mostly at the gym when I'm working out, which is kind of weird, but that's, that's how my brain works.
That's all right.
And then I just started looking up books I want to read. And now my wish list on Audible is so long.
Yeah, that's what happened. I got into Brandon Sanderson and I'm listening to his books. And then I'm starting to listen to Sarah J. Maas stuff because that's like recommended from other people. She's huge into fantasy. And both of like, if you're getting into audiobooks, both those writers are the worst because they both have like universes that they're building, and they have like 9 to 12 books in those universes, and they're all interconnected, which is awesome. But it's like, shit.
Well, then I started looking up. This is a fun fact I learned this week. Actually, this morning. I've read a few of Ian Fleming's James Bond novels, but not all of them.
Okay.
And I learned that not only did he do like, I think it was close to 9 books.
Yeah. There's a few.
But then he hands off the books to other writers. So other people keep writing Bond books in that universe.
Oh.
And there are like 45 separate books.
Wow. I had no idea.
So now I have this whole universe of, and they're each like, the audiobooks are like anywhere from 8 to 12 hours a piece.
Yep.
Of novels to read. So now, yeah.
I'm excited.
That's my new universe. But yeah, the garden, it's going to get done tomorrow.
Nice.
I got the day off tomorrow, so we're going to do a lot of that. And
back to the comics after that.
Yeah, and then we'll sit down and read some more comics. I did get some this week, but
I got a couple. We'll talk about a couple. With that, we got some TV news. I watched a few animes while I was traveling. I can talk about those in a second. Marvel looks to finally give us the Vision series that was teased at the end of WandaVision. I don't know how many years ago. Paul Bettany will reprise his role as Vision, and Terry Matalas is reported to be showrunning. Is on track to release in 2026. So 2 more years, folks. It'll be here. That's crazy. I mean, I can't believe they got Paul to still take up the role. He's been in that a while now.
Yeah, it's been a while, but I know this is a thing that he's wanted to do. The whole like giving Vision his own series.
Yeah.
As the light behind me flickers for some reason.
It's a ghost.
I'm all down. Like, I like the way they left Vision at the end of WandaVision, and it's been kind of a hanging plot line for a while now. Like, there's a few plot lines we talk about in the MCU, one being the Eternals. Like, there's this whole thing hanging out on Earth that we don't talk about anymore. The other one's like the Vision is now the Gray Vision and ran off, and we don't know what happened. So bring it on. I'm down for it. There hasn't been something MCU related yet that I haven't, at the very least, enjoyed, with some small exceptions. So, yeah, let's do it.
Bring it on. This was cool for me, and I feel like it's been long enough to where the live action Green Lantern can be, forgotten about. As long as I stop bringing it up.
Never forget.
DC never forget. Smoke Monster, which is really funny because I'll get to that in a second. If anybody remembers, oh my God, Parallax was a smoke monster in the original Green Lantern movie. Well, I have to imagine that's why they got the original showrunner Damon Lindelof of Lost to come into Green Lantern. So,
real quick, and I'll let you do the preamble into this. But what I find funny is that this is not popping up, and at the same time, Marvel just announced Galactus, which was also a smoke monster in the Fantastic Four movie. Yeah, they need to fix the shit. So we got some more info about the Lantern series. It's moving forward. DC Films is moving forward with it, assuming it's going to go on the Max platform. Emmy-winning showrunner Damon Lindelof of Lost and The Watchmen show will be joined by a team of writers, including Chris Mundy, who is the showrunner of Ozark, fantastic show, which kind of sets the tone for the show, which it's like almost crime noir-esque. So it was originally supposed to be like a buddy cop.
Yeah, like CSI Lantern.
Oh, dude. If it was Law and Order Green Lanterns, I'm so there for it.
They're just, dun. They just need someone to fill it. They need to bring Ice Cube out to space to be like, you mean to tell me this guy got ate by a lizard?
I feel like the final writer in this list will bring Ice Cube onto the scene.
Hell yeah. Just to pop up in space and be like, you mean to tell me? That's like the thing. Anyways, so he's going to be joined by Chris Mundy, showrunner of Ozark, but also everybody, comic writers joining the show, Tom King. Now, I'm yet to be proven wrong here. Chris and I aren't the biggest fans of Tom King with comic book writing. Okay, not to say that he hasn't done some good stories or iconic stories. I believe they're using his material, and he has a hand in writing the Supergirl movie that's coming out.
Yeah, they're basing it on his Woman of Tomorrow series.
Woman of Tomorrow series. So yet to see, and there are some showrunners involved to maybe keep him in the Lions. I don't want to poo-poo this and necessarily say it's a bad thing, everybody, because I know Tom King is very successful. A lot of people love him. His comic book series as of lately are just not for Chris and I. But
yeah, we're in the minority on this.
We're in the minority. We know we understand that. So he's on the show. I'm just excited that I'm getting some live action Lantern stuff. And I have to think it's going to be good. They've talked about it for so long. I feel like this is the time.
Yeah, Green Lanterns needs his like moment in the sun, and it's Jon Stewart or rewrite it.
Yeah, if it's not Jon Stewart, then that's another story. That's another conversation and rant for another time, for sure.
But I think all in all, like having Chris Mundy and Damon Lindelof alone, like sets a tone that this is something that is going to be seriously taken. Like they're not going to fuck around with this.
Yeah, for sure.
And I almost feel like you bring in. So my thing is when you bring in a comic writer, like, and this is not shame to any comic writer creator. Obviously, we love them, but you bring in a comic writer for the knowledge. Like you bring them into as somebody that knows the world and knows the characters and can add that flavor to it
and knows pretty much the continuity of what not to do.
Yeah, you would hope so, at least as much,
right?
And I just hope that comics are different from TV and movies. So I like having the comic creators as a part of that process. But when you bring in Damon Lindelof, like Tom King ain't going to tell Damon Lindelof what to do. Damon Lindelof's going to tell Tom King what to do.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm sure there's a creative process there, but like there is definitely a hierarchy here. Like, when James Gunn is like, we got Lindelof, who created Lost. Right. And then like made this awesome Watchmen show and has won Emmys and all this stuff. Like, he's obviously in charge.
So I have to admit this. I mean, I have high hopes for this. I usually don't with these things, but I really do.
Like I've said 100 times now, like this is another step for me to be like, okay, like we actually want to do something of quality and good, and like that people be intrigued about. And for me personally, it's fun to be excited about it.
I agree.
So I do have some like I never watched Lost, I'll admit it right here, but
oh god, it's so good.
But Watchmen on HBO was so great.
So,
and Ozark's a really great show too. So I just have all the faith in the world of what James Gunn and Peter, I forget his last name, the other guy that's involved, Safran, are doing here and trying to rebuild and rebrand the DC universe for cinematic purposes. So,
and there's no Jeff Johns involved, Chris.
Listen,
his name's not tied to it, which is crazy. Especially for a Lantern thing. Not saying that I need it to be. I just do think it's a little strange that we don't see.
I think there's a definitive reason for that.
Yeah, I do too, Chris.
I mean, it's not in the news because I don't really like to talk about like stuff being canceled. But listen, DC just announced that Justice Society, like they're done with it after issue 12. So like, I think there's a falling out there. It may have something to do with what happened when he was in charge of DC Films. I don't know.
Yeah,
it may just be that creative differences are pushing them apart. I don't know, but like he had his shot.
But my boys in the JSA are suffering, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Jeff Johns had his shot at the limelight and to do something with the movies. And
then to
fell
do something
apart,
with
man.
my JSA and my Legion and what the hell. Anyways,
I still read the last issue, by the way.
Yeah, it's all right. X-Men 97 episode 10, is this the finale, Chris?
The season finale,
finale, yep.
Yeah, I mean, big fight, like so it's like a 45-minute animated episode, which was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously picks up right the last episode left off. Like Wolverine's trying to recover from having the animanium sucked out of his body. The X-Men are trying to fight against not only Magneto because of what he was doing. They finally beat him. Him and Xavier and Magneto's head trying to like recover the humanity left in Magneto. While at the same time, like the president's like, we're going to shoot missiles at Asteroid M. It's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of action and all this. And it all kind of culminates in this moment at the end where, spoiler alert, everybody, but the good guys win. And the X-Men get sucked through time portals, and half of them get sucked into the future, where Jean and Cyclops end up meeting young Nathan Summers, aka Cable, and the rest of them get sucked into the past, where they meet the original version of oh my god, why am I zoning? Apocalypse.
Oh, okay, cool.
In the Ancient Egypt time. And then they do a little stinger at the end because it is a Marvel project of Apocalypse in the present. So with a big to be continued and all that stuff. So obviously, I mean, we already know they're doing 2 more seasons, and it seems like next season's gonna be Apocalypse. I think as a whole, this season's been really great. From the first nostalgic moment when you hear that theme song go on to the end of the series. Yeah, it's just, if you have any nostalgia for that show, not only does the nostalgia hit, but I truly do think that they did something of quality here that I really enjoyed.
Cool.
So yeah, X-Men 97 was great. And I'll throw in real quick, I finished Fallout season 1. Oh,
nice. Yeah, did you like it?
I loved it. Fuck that ending.
Yeah. Messed up, right? It's messed up.
Like, I was so in, and I remember I was sitting in my couch, I had my blanket on, and I was like watching that episode, and I didn't realize it was the last episode. Yeah. And it gets to that part, and they're like, spoilers for Fallout, everybody.
Yeah.
But like, the ghoul and the girl are gonna like go off and figure out like where she came from and like the secrets of that vault and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it just like goes to credits, and I'm just like, oh, cool, next episode. Wait, what? This is over?
What? Is that Vegas in the distance? What?
I was just so pissed.
Yeah, I know. It was really good.
It was an amazing stinger, like way to end the season.
All the characters, the character development's amazing. Yeah, it's great.
Dude, the twist throughout it, how they changed some of the lore. I think people got a little ahead of themselves with because like there's that thing that they say in there about like Vault Tech. Is the one that dropped the bomb, but like they say that they want to. They never definitively say that they did.
No, they never say that. Yeah.
But then they do hint later on that he's the dad, which I'm really confused how some of the characters living 200 years, but we can deal with that.
Yeah, some of them are frozen, and like Malgrave wasn't, or Mal, is that her name? Maldaves.
Yeah, maybe I didn't catch it.
Yeah, they didn't say how Maldiver looks old or doesn't look old. So there's somehow she's not aged.
Yeah, it's weird. But anyways, they do hint very heavily that they did, because then later on they say the dad dropped the bomb on that settlement, and then that's how Vault Tech deals with things.
Yeah.
So it is a change in the lore. It's a whatever change. Like, I get it.
It's fine. The show is great.
But yeah.
Yeah,
show's awesome. Yeah.
I watched a few animes really quick, everybody. I'm a huge fan of Kaiju number 8. I read that manga religiously. I actually purchased that manga still physically. It's a show that's out now. It's about 9 episodes. If you love big monsters like I do, it's got like the hopelessness of Attack on Titan mixed with giant monsters and people that wear these suits to fight the monsters. It's awesome. The main character actually comes from a kaiju cleanup crew, because that's a thing in Japan. You don't think about it, like the kaiju dies and then you have to send in a crew to like cut up its bones and its flesh and like, sweep the streets.
Kaiju damage control.
Yep. And when they don't like you, they send you to clean up the digestive tract. So think about that. I also finished a show called Solo Leveling. Very cool if you're into Dungeons and Dragons. Season 1 came out this year. basically like the world has all these portals opening up. Chris, you would love it. And some people get assigned these like hunter ranks that are like your level, and you go in these dungeons and you fight goblins. And you have to fight the dungeon boss before you can close the dungeons. So there's these like factions of people that have like they run these hunter guilds, and you want to be part of the guild. There's a lot of like MMORPG stuff in it, and it's a lot of Dungeons and Dragons stuff. I think you would love the show, Chris.
It's funny you say MMO because it's actually a Korean book.
Okay. Yep. Which is like, yeah, which is just like that huge MMO. Lost Ark is a Korean MMO, which
Korean developers are known for doing MMOs.
Mm-hmm.
It's also so it's based. So I'm looking at the let's just say comics, manga, and it's based on the fantasy novel, but it was a web comic that is now published and now an animated series.
Yeah, and there's some things different between the manga and the animated series. I've never read the web comic or manga, but I think if you watch the first, I think it's 12 episodes that are out right now I think you'd love it. It's really cool. It has a lot of video game stuff in it. It has a lot of fantasy, like crazy fighting going on. I really enjoyed it. And then I watched Crunchyroll. You can get a free subscription to Crunchyroll for 7 days through Amazon Prime. I watched all those episodes in like 7 days. So, but I watched so much on Crunchyroll now. I've been thinking about getting a subscription. And then I did watch the latest episode of Delicious in Dungeon. I will just say there's a lot more lore to this episode than all the other ones. So there's a lot. The elves show up, and then there's a lot of like discussions around how to handle the dungeons and the monsters and all the Mad Mage. So great episode. I think we're starting to hit the end of the first season. You know what I mean? Like things are, they're talking about some serious things, going back in the dungeon and figuring things out. And it's like, okay, I can see the end of the first season. It's still really good stuff.
Yeah, it's on my list to catch up on.
Yep. We got some comic news to go through today, and Chris texted me one of them, and I audibly went, "Whoa!" When he texted me it, because I was like, no friggin' way. But we'll get to it in a second. Marvel announced their new black and white and red anthology. This time will center around the symbiote Spider-Man suit. That is a pretty cool cover, I'm not going to lie. Yeah. The series will be called Spider-Man Black Suit and Blood. And for the first issue, there'll be stories from J.M. DeMatteis, Elena Casagrande, J. Michael Straczynski, and Sumit Kumar, and Dustin Nguyen. The series sees all-star creators, include some Spidey storytelling legends, honor the 40th anniversary of the black costume, black, white, and blood style. Some will reveal never-before-told tales about the black suit era, while others explore the costume's legacy and its impact on Peter. Cool.
Yeah, and I heard that the James DeMatteis story is going to be Kraven's Last Hunt adjacent, so Spider-Man fans, be excited about that.
That's really cool.
That's also Murder's Row. Like between DeMatteis and Straczynski, like I know Spider-Man fans love those two creators. So
yeah, that's awesome.
It's a cool way to jump off this book. It's just funny to me that's like we've done black, white, and red, and black, white, and blood, and now it's just like black suit and blood.
Yeah, I know. That's so funny.
But
they're running out of ideas, or at least name or titles.
Yeah, it's whatever. But Spider-Man fans rejoice, you'll enjoy. I will set this one out.
Yeah,
because I'm not a Spider-Man fan.
Me neither. For a few years now, Marvel has celebrated their publishing anniversary in August in giant-sized one-shots, much like last year's Marvel AH 1000. This year, it's called Marvel 85th Anniversary Special. It features stories from creators like Ryan North, Christopher Priest, Josh Cassara, many more. What a beautiful cover right there. And the far future exploits all of the heroes of the Marvel Age are stuff of legend, half remembered, but still celebrated. Come with us now on a tour of the greatest museum in all the cosmos, in which the few surviving relics of the bygone days have been assembled. Each piece tells a unique story about the contest of champions and how it wrought an end to the age of heroes, about the greatest triumph of Miss Marvel and the final secret exploit of Excalibur, and more. Very cool.
Yeah, I get these every year, so I'm in. But if I wasn't in, I heard the word Excalibur.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
and
that
give me
sounds
plenty
pretty
of
cool.
Captain Britain.
Yeah, and he's right there on the cover. That's a cool cover for sure.
Yeah, and what I loved when they announced it about, like, especially the cover, like, of course, these covers always have Spider-Man on it. They always have
Yeah.
Wolverine on it.
But then to have Captain Britain
To have Captain Britain, like, front and center
is
is
crazy.
really something special. Like,
Yeah, and he's like mean mugging too. I love it.
yeah, he's such a great character, and he just needs more. He needs to be shown off more. Like,
Yeah,
Marvel needs to do more with him. They need to hire Henry Cavill to play him in a movie.
that'd be
And
awesome. Oh my god, that'd be so good. What the fuck? Why did I not think of that before?
there's just so much there. These one shots are very hit and miss. Like, Marvel 1000 was not good. Let's just all the Marvel fans out there, let's all admit it and move on with their lives. But some of the ones in the past have been enjoyable, so I'm hoping this one's good.
Cool. Marvel has really stepped up their crossover game in the past year, and this week announced 2 new crossover comics, which, okay, some of these are pretty dope. Like this one, Predator versus Black Panther. What? Written by Benjamin Percy with art by Chris Allen. Wakanda is prey? Question mark. It's all in caps, people. I'm sorry, I have to do that. You saw the Marvel's universe's most tenacious mutant go up against one of the greatest killing machines in history, Predator versus Wolverine, and survive. Now the planet Earth lives on in Predator lore, a planet full of the most exhilarating prey they could imagine. The strongest weapons in the multiverse are in their sights. When a young Predator with something to prove comes from Wakanda's vibranium, the Black Panther faces an enemy whose resources rival those of the great nation. Who will prove stronger? Benjamin Percy teams up with Stormbreaker artist Chris Allen to pit King against King in a bloody new series. That is a cool idea. Honestly, I think I would have preferred them to Predator versus Black Panther before Wolverine, to be honest. But I know Wolverine's a more popular character. But
of course, they're gonna do Wolverine first.
Yeah. This looks like such a '90s cover, though. Holy shit!
Oh yeah,
this is a straight up like there's muscles on muscles that do not exist on the human body, and I love it.
Oh yeah, this is like the stuff I go to gym to try to achieve and just never can.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, nobody should ever have muscles where their rib cages are. Like, what is that?
Dude, the Black Panther like kind of reminds me of that Rob Liefeld Captain America cover.
Yeah, I know what you mean. The one with the shield and the giant chest.
Yeah, because his chest is popping out.
That's exactly what I was thinking of. Yep. This looks great.
That being said, I love that they're finally doing like a bunch of crossovers. And even though like not all of them are speaking to me, like this one in particular, like, I mean, it's cool. I hope people enjoy it.
Yeah.
When they do Predator versus Daredevil, I'll be there.
Oh my god, that'd be so good.
But I just love that it sucks it took Disney like buying everybody for them to do it. But
I know.
I mean, I'll take what I can get in terms of them finally doing some cool crossover books, because that was something that DC was doing for a long time that I was jealous of. I mean, I go back to Green Lantern Corps versus Planet of the Apes and stuff like that. And even now they have the Godzilla Kong versus Justice League book.
Yep.
And now I'm finally getting some of these over at Marvel. I mean, what was it last week? 2 weeks ago, we were talking about the Aliens versus Avengers book. Like, I'm so in for that. Yeah. And then the next book that we're
the next one I'm going to be reading is right up my alley. Ultraman versus the Avengers, written by Kyle Higgins and Matt Groom with art by Francesco Mana. I'm a huge Ultraman fan. So Spider-Man has disappeared from New York. An intergalactic invader has arrived on Ultraman's doorstep, and the kaiju of Earth are acting even more mysteriously than usual. They can only mean one thing. It's time for Ultraman to meet the Avengers, of course. What cosmic threat is great enough to require a team-up of the Marvel's mightiest heroes and Japan's greatest hero, mightiest champion's greatest hero? Find out as Shin meets Sam, Spacium Ray meets Repulsor Ray, and Thwip meets Schwatch in the epic crossover event. I'm sorry, it's not Ultraman versus the Avengers, Ultraman and Avengers.
Ultraman X Avengers.
X Avengers, Cross Avengers, yeah. Of course, we're excited to be back with more Ultraman as ever, but especially for such a meaningful event, Groom and Higgins said. This is the first time Ultraman will meet the Avengers, despite them having so much in common, both being created in the 1960s, both being arguably the most popular and successful heroes from their respective countries of origin, being able to tell the story of this historic meeting, discovering how they interact, the ways in which they're different, and what they have to learn from each other. It's a tremendous privilege. Yeah, we haven't seen anything since I believe Higgins wrote the Ultraman series that I was reading, which was fantastic. So I am super pumped for this book. I cannot wait.
Yeah, what I thought was cool was Higgins and Groom were the writers for that couple of Ultraman series I know you were into.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So it's cool to see them be the ones to usher this book into existence.
Yeah, I think that's really cool.
I will also be reading this, Mike.
Yeah.
Because it's that cool of a night. I'm not a huge Ultraman fan. I don't know a ton about them.
Right.
I know enough to get by.
Yeah.
And I will be all in on this book.
I think it's awesome.
I kind of wish that it wasn't the current Avengers lineup.
Yeah,
or
I do
a version of their
though.
lineup. I wish it was kind of like a classic Avengers lineup. But that's like a tiny nitpick because, I mean, having Miles in there is cool. Yeah. And I do like Sam as Cap, so I'm not like complaining about that. This is this and the Alien Avengers book. I sit back and go like, what Marvel are we looking at now?
Yeah,
like,
I know. They want to have fun. What is this?
Yeah, it's great. I am so happy these books exist. I will be in 2,000% on this book. Like,
yeah, I'm really excited for this.
More crossovers, please. DC, bring back your crossover initiative. They were a blast. And Marvel, keep this coming.
Yep. This was the big news. Marvel has finally announced that Greg Capullo is working on, and it is a Wolverine series written by Jonathan Hickman. What the fuck? The series will be called Wolverine Revenge, and is only the second series by then that's getting a red band treatment like Blood Hunt. And yeah, that cover is Wolverine in the mouth of a T-Rex.
So real quick for all of our video watchers.
Yeah.
We have the cover here.
Yeah.
Obviously a lot of like green blood.
Yeah.
Everybody think back to the NES when a certain video game called Mortal Kombat came into existence and they couldn't have blood in it.
Oh, yeah.
And then the Sega Genesis one had the blood in it.
Yeah.
So this is the regular non-red band edition teaser image for Wolverine Revenge. Yeah. Here we go, Mike.
Uh-huh.
The red band edition with a ton of blood.
Yeah, love it.
And all I could think of was that Mortal Kombat back in the day.
No, that's it. That's all it is. That's hilarious. I love that. It's just the same thing, just different color. The Wolverine Revenge will be 5 issues of pure, unadulterated Wolverine. Okay, 5 issues for Jonathan Hickman. Okay, good luck. Just in the time for the iconic character's 50th anniversary. If that's not enough, Wolverine Revenge will also be available as a special red band editions, like the current Blood Hunt we talked about. Wolverine Revenge Red Band Edition will be polybagged for the protection of innocent eyes and include exclusive pages and elevated violence. Capullo and Hickman pit Wolverine against a cadre of foes who will turn this world upside down, including Sabretooth, Omega Red, Deadpool, and more. He's been beaten, he's been bloodied, and Logan only has one thought on his mind: revenge. Yeah, I'm reading this book. Hands down. Come on. What do you think?
Yeah.
It's a fucking T-Rex on the cover. You got Capullo's art. It's amazing.
I don't know how Marvel's found a way to like get me intrigued in X-Men stuff again, but like here we are. I will be
the classic suit. My God.
Yeah, I'll be reading this series. That said, for Blood Hunt, I've been buying both the regular and red band edition, mostly out of curiosity to see what the difference is between them.
Yeah.
I won't do that for this. I'll just get the red band version and live my life. Like, I know what they're doing. They're trying to double the sales for collectors.
Yeah, that's all they're doing.
Yeah, but obviously the red band edition's the one that the book's supposed to be, and I'll just go with that.
Yep.
That also said, as much as I think it's a gimmick and they're trying to get collectors on this, I do like that they're doing this red band thing, and because Blood Hunt was the first red band book and the first quote unquote R-rated comic at Marvel. And now it's like red band's a thing. So we might get to see more action and like adult themed books at Marvel moving forward, which will be cool. Hopefully they don't go too nuts with it, but
yeah, it's like the more it's a way to get more money from readers by doing like a black label, but not actually doing a black
yeah, basically. Yeah. But in universe black label. And this is why I think it's funny, like because they've branded Red Band as like the R-rated comic.
Right.
And just to go back a few years when everybody said Deadpool had to be R-rated. And it's like, but it never was. And this is the proof right here because Marvel's telling you they've never done a book of like that.
Yep.
So
No,
just to get my quick jab in the Deadpool fans.
Yeah. Yeah. Chris gets those every week. More news. Chris got some Moon Knight news here. We have a new new miniseries called Moon Knight Phases of the Moon. Wow. There's never been a Moon Knight series called Phases of the Moon. It'll feature stories from creators like Erica Schultz, Benjamin Percy, Rod Reyes, and Manuel Garcia. This upcoming comic book series will deliver all new stories from an assembly of acclaimed talent, starring the Khonshu avatars you know, and share the sagas of the Moon Knights you've never met. Though he's amongst the most recent, Mark Spector is far from the first Fist of Khonshu, as fans have witnessed in the pages of Jed McKay's hit run. Mark and Hunter's Moon are only in the latest in the long line of diverse, fascinating Khonshu champions. The specters of their predecessors have been called upon to aid in their most desperate battles. Now it's time to learn their stories. So you're getting a lot of different Moon Knights.
Moon Knight fans are eating good, man. Like,
yeah,
we went a long time with no Moon Knight book, and then the character really caught on, especially with like Jeff Lemire's run and everything. And Jed McKay's been killing it with his run, and it's been really great to see. Like, there was a time where I'd be happy to get a miniseries with Moon Knight, and now I've got an ongoing and a miniseries going on 2 years in a row. Yeah, I'm happy. And this cover, seeing the night Moon Knight is really cool. Even if
I like the sword.
Little, goofy.
Yeah, it is a little goofy, but it's cool. Yep.
But yeah, it's an obvious add to my pull list. I love Moon Knight. And it's cool to have like a little anthology book about different versions of them. I like when they do that with some of the characters that make sense to have had previous avatars for. So yeah, I'm in.
DC news. DC Comics has announced that they're returning the Long Halloween story. Why? Allegedly, with their latest addition to the series called Batman: The Long Halloween, The Last Halloween. Why? Jeff Loeb is returning again to write the series, but Tim Sale's passing in 2022 means that new artists will be featured in every issue of the series. I ask again, why? Anyways, as with its holiday-themed predecessors, The Last Halloween opens during the spookiest season of the year, while a new threat looms over James Gordon's head. Batman and Robin find themselves tested like never before. DC teases that the series will feature the return of the Holiday Killer, whose identity was a central mystery in both The Long Halloween and The Dark Victory. Man, I haven't read The Long Halloween in a long time, and I also haven't read Dark Victory. I think I have both on my shelf over here. Yep, there's Dark Victory, and there's Long Halloween. Yep, they're both on my shelf, Chris. I definitely read them years ago. I don't know, man. I don't need another Long Halloween book, but I probably will read it because it's Batman. So I'll let you know.
So Jeff Loeb said that him and Tim Sale had an idea of this being a trilogy, that there was an ending to it and all this stuff. So let's assume he's telling the truth. I really hope he would not tell a lie about his dead friend.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
My initial thoughts when this was announced was like, why would you do Long Halloween without Tim Sale? And then I read what he said and I'm like, okay, he feels like...
Then you got Dave Stewart doing the art. Like, damn.
Yeah, and with a few others, each issue is gonna be a different artist, which I think is weird. I think just pick an artist and go with it. And then what Jeff did say, they had an idea, and he feels like Tim would want the story to end and all that usual PR shit.
Mm-hmm.
That said, I've read Long Halloween. I really enjoy Long Halloween.
Oh yeah,
I have never read Dark Victory, and I have zero interest in reading Dark Victory.
Dark Victory is not as popular as Long Halloween.
I just feel like Long Halloween was a great story in itself, and we did not need to expand upon it. But that's me. Yeah, I hope it's good for everybody, but I will not be in any way interested in this book.
Yeah, I don't know, Chris.
Unless you come back and tell me it's the best thing Batman you've read in a long time or something like that.
I don't think it will be.
But it's Long Halloween for me is it's one of the seminal Batman books, and every Batman fan should read it.
Yep.
But I don't put it in the pantheon of Dark Knight, where Oh fuck! If they do Dark Knight 4, I'm buying it, Mike. Like,
yeah, right. I know.
but that Long Halloween's not there for me.
No, it's
So
not. Yeah, I don't think it's. We'll see.
Yeah.
I might have to reread Dark Victory. It's been a while. Boom Studios announced that Keanu Reeves, Matt Kint, Ron Garney, and Bill Crabtree, the creative team behind the original Berserker series, are returning with Berserker: The Lost Book of B, #1. I did like the Berserker story. We'll see. I'll probably try this first issue out, and we'll go from there. Because we do know Berserker has been alive for a long time, so maybe this is a new era that we're getting. It looks like the picture is like Middle Ages style era, so we got a lot of glimpses of the past of the characters. So maybe if this is more like a fantasy book about like what happens to him, where he goes, I'd be interested in checking it out.
Well, if you read the next paragraph in the notes,
oh, well, there it is. I'm sorry, I missed the paragraph here, folks. I should have known. I just wanted to speculate some more, Chris. This new epic chapter in the Bloody Saga brings back the immortal warrior in the 13th century. Well, it wasn't far off. Yep. B serves as the ultimate weapon of the notorious warlord Genghis Khan. Okay, and it seems that no enemy of his empire can withstand the Berserker's onslaught of havoc and death. But as the war grows even larger, B must question where his loyalties truly lie. Yep, pretty cool. I'll check it out. I mean, I'm in it for this. I really did enjoy the first series, so we'll see. We'll see where this goes.
Yeah, I know you really loved it. I never read any of it, so I have no opinion of it. And I definitely won't be jumping in on Lost Book of B to be my first book.
Yeah.
But good on Matt Kent for having a hit series here, and kind of cool that Keanu Reeves is still involved. Like, I figured he would have fucked off after the first volume.
No, I think he's invested. I think you're considering that he would be the main character if this ever gets made into a TV show or movie. So,
well, yeah, because isn't the main character just Keanu Reeves?
Yeah, it is Keanu Reeves. So, yeah.
So, yeah, but good for him sticking around. Like, I'm really happy about that. Cool. And I like that they brought together the original creative team for the next series.
No,
like,
I think it's awesome. Yeah.
I know they've done side books and everything, but
that's the way to
do the actual sequel with the original team is cool.
Boom Studios announced a new series for their Boom box imprint titled SIR from writer-artist Fellhound. Get ready for your new obsession, motorcycle jousting. What? Fate brutally separated Avery Sakai with her girlfriend Nico Jing, but acceptance to the Brittleham Academy might be just the thing to bring them back together. But shockingly, Nico's extracurriculars are the last thing Avery expected from her. Now, to win a second chance at love, Avery will need to throw herself into the violent but captivating world of underground motorcycle jousting fighting club known as Seismic Iron Clash Roulette. Wow. What a friggin' slew of words. I believe this is Boom's imprint to do like Western manga, right?
They describe. I looked it up because I wanted to know what Boombox was.
Yeah,
and they describe it as just like this experimental imprint. Like, it doesn't really have a per se like a thing that they're going for.
Okay.
But that said, I looked at all the books that they've published on it, and it's their Western manga.
Okay, it's the Western manga stuff. Understandably so.
So I think you were on the episode where I got to chat with Fellhound back in the day.
No.
But I did, and she's a really great artist, and it definitely has a lot of manga influence, as you said. Mm-hmm. I think this book looks interesting, but I think they kind of bury the lead knowing Fell as a creator, because one of the things that's really important to her is in her books is lesbian representation, because she is a lesbian, and also like she's really into romance, so expect heavy romance vibes in this book. So I'm sure those two things will be in here somewhere, and they're kind of burying the lead on that.
Yep.
And that's usually what like tears me away from her books is I don't care for romance books unless they're called saga. That said, it does look cool, and I will probably still check it out if we get sent a review copy. So I'll let y'all know. But I think the idea, like the premise around like the motorcycle jousting and everything seems cool.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, it being kind of manga influenced adds that like that level of like we can do something kind of weird and goofy
Yeah,
with it.
some crazy wordplay.
Yeah, so I'm sure it'll be, at the very least, the action sequences will be a blast because she does a great job with those.
Yep.
But yeah, we'll see. I think it's intriguing, but there's some underlying things about the themes she likes to play with that just usually aren't for me. Like, not saying they're bad, just usually aren't for me. So we'll see.
With that, let's talk about what we read this week.
Let's talk about books that are for me, Mike.
Yeah. So I had a lot of catching up to do, so I didn't get to the newer stuff from this week. But Shazam number 11, like you said, shit was way too serious. Can we just get back to more accounting dinosaurs, please?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Billy's mom shows up at the end, and everybody's like, "Oh no!" Geiger number 2, I caught up on. Really loved the the issue with Geiger being like, "Oh shit, we got to help this town." And then we see that the connection from the Junkyard Joe series, you have like the that military guy shows up and kills the guy, and you're like, okay, so now we're starting to see the crossover. That was a good issue of Geiger 2.
You can kind of see what the future of the book is going to be, like kind of a Western going town to town, helping people out. Yeah.
Yep. I caught up on Deadweights issue 1 and 2 from Ahoy Comics. Really like this series. I think it's these like two henchmen trying to turn a new leaf, these two like C-list villains. And then they end up like in the second issue in this like training sequence at the hero base to try to see if they'll like withstand if they can hold up to be heroes. And then one of the heroes there is being an asshole to them, so he like traps them in the basement where they like nobody will find them, which is kind of messed up. But I really do like the series. Principles of Necromancy issue 2. I know you talked about this one already. It was a great issue, completely different than the first issue. You know, he has like an apprentice that you kind of see her doing her own thing after he leaves, which is very interesting. Of like the nice side of necromancy.
Mm-hmm.
While he's like operating on her mother's brain, which is kind of messed up. And that's all I got to this week, but I have a bunch of stuff that I need to read. Like I need to read the new issue of My Bad. I need to catch up on Action Comics, Wrong Earth, Suicide Squad, Redcoat, Masters of the Universe Revolution number 1 came out, so I picked that up. I haven't read it yet.
Yeah.
I found out that all the books I caught up on, then I had more books come out the next week, and I was like, shit, I didn't realize a lot of these were coming out. So they'll be read by next week.
I say don't everybody strap in next week because I've got a long list. I only read a couple from this week. But I guess real quick, I read Galaxy of Madness.
Read that. We
good. Talked a lot about it in an interview.
Mm-hmm.
So go back and listen to that if you want my thoughts, but it's a great book.
Yep.
And then I don't remember if did I talk about White Boat number 1 last week?
I don't think so.
So that came out. I had read it like weeks ago, but not able to talk about it. And I really liked it. Like it's got this weird like this guy that has a past with boats, and then apparently he is a journalist that writes about boats. And there's like this mysterious boat that everybody knows about, known as the White Boat, and it's like if billionaires have a yacht, this is like a trillionaire who has a yacht that makes the mega yachts look like a fishing boat, I guess.
Okay.
And then you find out like it's attached to like this island, and there's a lot of occult stuff going on. There's some Cthulhu shit happening. Like, so it's a Scott Snyder, Francis. What was Francis? I
just had it here because I have it open on my computer. Francesco
Francavilla book.
Yep.
So those two have worked together in the past, but it has almost a Mark Russell feel in terms of like he hits on some political stuff throughout it. Like he's definitely taking some shots at the uber rich.
Yeah, I do like the like Miami Vice colors in the issue.
Yeah, and then when you get later on when they start doing some of the horror stuff, it flips. And that's something I've noticed about the Distillery books. Is the first issues of that and the Tinian book, like they start off one way, and then like there's at the halfway point, like it really gets into the heavy horror stuff that you came there for, which I don't know if that's just a coincidence or that's a choice by the two of them, but still it was a good issue and I look forward to issue 2. Caught up on Sinister Sons and I got number 4 here. So the two boys are stuck in the whale, and the whale like hops dimensions.
Yep.
And in this issue, they're trying to find their way out, and they think they figured it out. The Zod kid finally gets his powers back, so he's like, we're in a universe that has a yellow sun and everything. And they run into these like space goblin pirates who it's basically a Moby Dick sequence where like the captain's like, finally the whale is back, and we got
awesome.
This is the whale I've been searching for and all that.
Yeah.
So they have to fight off these like goblin things, and then they're able to get to the whale's brain and like connect with him, and they convince him to jump to the planet that Sinestro's from. I'm forgetting the name right now, and go there because the other kid thinks he's Sinestro's son. And that's kind of where it ends, is with Sinestro showing up being like, what are you doing here? The Weatherman Volume 3 number 5.
Nice.
This is like an action sequence, so like I guess there's 2 more issues, which I'm really happy about.
That's great.
So the secret ops team goes to find Ian and the group to stop them from setting off the bomb on Mars, the same one they set off on Earth in volume 1.
Okay.
And it's almost like an anime where like you have the group, the like terrorist organization, each one has their thing that they do, and then you have the infiltration group, and it's just one-on-one fights and like see who wins, and that's the whole issue. And then it kind of ends with Ian and the main chick about to go at it, and that's where the issue ends.
Nice.
Such a good series. I could go on about it for days, but I won't, because I'm going to talk about Blue Book number 4.
I did read the first issue of that. I liked it because you told me to get into it.
Did you read the original Blue Book, or did you read the 1947?
Blue Book 1947.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now we're far enough in where they're really like talking about where that original UFO sighting and kind of the history of UFO sightings through the United States. And this issue lands really heavily on Roswell and like what happened there. And what I liked about it is Tinian does a great job of like discussing like, these are the things that like this guy reported, but then this guy refutes, and like talking about how there's no consistency to the Roswell story throughout it.
Yeah.
So I like that there was actually like balance to his dialogue and everything in here. And then Oming's art, fantastic. What was really cool is him doing all the like the classic aliens, the grays as we call them. Was some of the best parts of it.
Nice.
But Blue Book's a really great series that if you're into like UFO alien conspiracy stuff, it's literally just them telling those stories in comic form. Like it's not fictionalized at all.
Yeah. No, it's really cool. It's a cool way to tell the story.
Yeah. And then those were last week's books. The 2 books I read from this week. Of course, Mike, I started with Pooh versus Bambi number 2. Awesome. So I'm gonna spoil issue 1 because I have to talk about issue 2. So Pooh gets captured by Piglet and Commander Christopher Robbins, and they have to go back to this military base where he basically tells him, like, after the sequence in the first issue where Pooh kills Bambi, that Tigger. First, we find out that Tigger's a were-tiger, which was fantastic.
Amazing.
We found out that Tigger stayed in the group and was going around taking care of all these scientists that the U.S. wanted to get rid of. Or they didn't say the U.S., the government, but, you know, it's the U.S.
Yeah.
And those are the scientists that created, like, Pooh and Bambi, these, like, mutant creatures and everything. But now, like, Tigger's missing, and they don't want to send in their forces because they don't think they're up to the task, so they get Pooh to do it. You know, the classic, like, action movie thing.
Hell yeah.
So then they send them in, and the big spoiler at the end. I'm just going to spoil this issue, everybody. So if you're not reading Pooh vs. Bambi, you're not living life. The big spoiler at the end, like, they find the scientist, and the scientist has all these, like, different animals. It's basically a Dr. Moreau scenario where she has this island with, like, animals everywhere that she's mutated.
Yep.
And then you find out she's also mutated, so she's Rue. like the kangaroo.
Oh yeah, yep.
And we also find out that Bambi is alive and well, which I kind of expected. The book is called Pooh versus Bambi, and we killed Bambi in like the first half of the first issue. Like,
yeah.
But it was a cool moment at the end.
Nice.
And that's where Tigger was the whole time, is that he found out his friend Bambi was alive and all that stuff.
Awesome.
It's goofy to talk about, but the book is actually really good, everybody. And I really do recommend picking it up. And then the last thing I read was Rook Exodus #2.
Yeah, I got to read that.
What I like about this book is it's very light and action focused. Like there's some lore, like I get what they're going for in terms of like we got the helmets and what they do,
right?
And like they're trying to terraform this world, and there's like an organization involved. But really, this issue is like another one of the helmet people show up. She controls like her name is Dire Wolf, so she controls wolves.
Yep.
And Rook tries to get her to go on the ship with her. She doesn't want to leave because she's like all about the company. And that's when that dude with the bears comes.
Oh, nice.
And it's just a straight action sequence for like the rest of the issue.
That's
with like
awesome.
Little tidbits where they talk about like he's not actually a warden like the rest of them. He killed a warden and stole their helmet.
Oh.
And now he has a group of people. Whenever he kills a warden, he takes their helmet, and he has like his posse that is now taking their helmets.
That's awesome.
So that's like the direct threat moving forward with the book. He ends up like destroying the ship they were working on, which really pisses Rook off and everything. Mm-hmm. They're going to go off to find. So the rest of the book is going to be them going off to find more wardens to fight against this dude with like mutated bears and everything. I understand like why you enjoy it so much, because it's just an action book. Like,
yeah, that's all I'm here for.
We're not trying to do too much or tell this super complicated story. It's just this cool sci-fi action book. Let's go. And I was down for it. It was a great palate cleanser this week to kind of have something lighthearted to read.
No, yeah, that's why I love it.
Yeah. So, Mike, that was everything I read this week. Where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me at Fortress Ricker on Twitter. Where can they find you and or the show?
Find me at Fortress Chris on pretty much any social media network you can think of. And also at chriscomicscorner.substack.com. If you want to find the show, you can find it at FortressComics_ on Twitter or at FortressComicNews.com. And if you want to support the show, best ways to do it are 5-star reviews in the podcatcher of your choice, as my cat climbs on comic boxes behind me.
Hell yeah.
Like, subscribe, share, comment down below on the YouTube version of the show, or go to patreon.com/FortressComics. Thank you all so much for watching and or listening this week, and we'll see you all here next week.